Welcome to Sanford Flip Math. This is home edition. I don't appear on camera for many of the Sanford Flip Math videos, but here we are. We're going to do some factoring. This is Algebra 1, and we are deep in the throes of factoring. We factored out greatest common factors. We have factored special forms, difference of two squares, perfect square trinomials, etc. We've been factoring just basic polynomials, trinomials, I should say, into two binomials. And the addition here, the extension here we're making is for an a that's not 1. So just a reminder that we are following this format, which is considered standard form for a quadratic meaning x squared. This is the format. And the number in front of the x squared is a, the number in front of the x is b, and the number without an x is c, in that order. And we are formally starting to do factoring where the a, the number in front of the x squared, is not just 1. So there actually is a number there. And so our goal is to have something that looks like this. Well, we've been doing a lot of work with what people refer to as the box method, the area model for multiplication. And the idea is that, you know, we have some rectangle that we use as a graphic organizer for what's going on, and we put the 4x squared, the first term, in here, the 10 here, and we use this as a way to kind of take apart everything. Well, the problem is we don't know what to use to add up to the 13x. So what we're going to do is take that apart. So previously we've been using the factors of c, the constant, but we're going to have to extend that to the factors of a times c. So in this case, we're talking about the factors of 40. So you'll see why this works in a second, I hope. And the sum of those factors is still going to be b. So in this case, that's 13. And I know I'm going just a smidge off screen. Sorry about that. All right, let me scooch. There we go. Pull it out just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we're going to look at the numbers that multiply to give 40 and add up to 13. Now, quick little note to self. There's always a sign concern, positive or negative. So remember that this sign, the plus 10, the plus c, since it's plus, that means we either multiply a negative times a negative to get positive 10, or a positive times a positive to get positive 10. So in other words, the signs were the same. If they are the same, then they are whatever the sign for b is. So I know that the numbers that are going to multiply to get 40 have to be positive times a positive. So it could be 1 times 40. I tend to go through these in order until I see what I need. I'm going to go through all of them just to, you know, make sure that we hit everything. But as soon as you see what you need for b, you can stop. So 1 times 40 is 40. 2 times 20. 3 doesn't work. 4 times 10. 5 times 8. 6 doesn't work. 7 doesn't work. 8 times 5. Okay, so that's a repeat, so I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to add these together. Again, these are the same sign. They are positive. So 1 plus 40 is 41, 22, 14, 13. And what I'm looking for is my b. So we said b was 13. There it is. So this tells me that the numbers that go here are 5x and 8x. And it doesn't matter whether you do 5x and 8x or 8x and 5x, that doesn't matter. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is unmultiply. I'm going to factor out common factors. So what is the common factor between 5x and 10? What is the common factor between 4x squared and 8x? Well, 4 goes into both of these, x goes into both of these, so I'm going to write 4x. The common factor between 4x squared and 5x is just the x. Between 8x and 10 is 2, so what it looks like is our factors should be 4x plus 5 from the top, and x plus 2. And again, those could be written in different order, that doesn't matter. Okay, now I think I'm done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check this. So 4x times x is the x squared, 4x squared rather. 5 times 2 is the 10. That's good. The biggest concern I have is the outer. Okay, so 4x times 2 is 8x. 5 times x is 5x. Combine those, 13x. Does that match 13? Yeah, it does. Okay, so, all right, so I'm using the box. Now, the biggest change from what we've been doing is, for the box, we need 40. We need a times c instead of just a. That's the big, giant difference. Okay, All right, so we're going to do one more problem just like this, only completely different. And then we'll wrap this bad boy up. Okay, so here we go. So we are going to, again, this is SanfordFlipMath Home Edition. So we are going to factor 6x squared minus 5x minus 6. This is the same exact stuff. The only concern is we have some sign differences now. So, okay, so again, we are going to do factors of a times c. Well, in this case, 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. I want the sum of those factors to equal negative 5. Okay. And I know there are lots of people that organize this stuff differently, and you're welcome to do that. There are lots and lots of videos out there for how to do this. You can just do straight up guess and check. It's just you might be there for a hot minute. Okay, so this is 6x squared. This is negative 6. And again, the question is what goes here? All right, so let's talk signs. If that's negative, I had to multiply a positive times a negative or a negative times a positive. So in other words, this just tells me the signs are opposite or they're plus minus. I don't know which one's which at this point. I just know they're different. If they are different, then this tells me what the sign of the bigger of the two is, the bigger of the two that multiply to a times c. Okay, so I'm going to write down what we can multiply to get 36. And again, I'm going to write a whole bunch down. And if you, as soon as you see the one you need, you can stop. 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12. I purposely did 36 because it's got a million little factors. 4 times 9, 5 doesn't work, 6 does, 6 times 6. As soon as these are equal, we're going to start repeating. So like the next one, 7 doesn't work, 8 doesn't work, 9 does, and I'm repeating the 9 times 4. So we're done. Okay, now remember, it has to be opposite signs. The bigger one has to be negative. So it would have to be negative 36 or negative 18 or negative 12 or negative 9 or, okay, the bigger one. Well, okay, so let's talk what they add up to. This would be negative 35. That's not B. This would be negative 16. Still not B. This would be negative 9. Okay, still not B. This would be negative 5. Okay, that's it. This one would be 0 just to have a complete list. So this is the one we're looking for. And again, one of these is going to be 4x, and one of these is going to be negative 9x. So I'll put negative 9x here and 4x here. It doesn't matter. The negative matters which one it's with, but you could put 4x up here and negative 9x down here. Doesn't matter. Okay, so now we're going to, again, factor out common factors from each row and column. Okay, and this is just a graphic organizer. There's nothing magical about this. It's just helping us straighten things out. Some people do this by grouping. If you were with Mr. Whiten, he would be doing this by grouping instead of the box. It literally is the grouping though. All right, so what's the common factor between negative 9x and negative 6? Well, it's 3. And since both of these have a negative, I'm going to pull that negative out, and we will confirm that that worked in a hot minute. Okay, so common factor between 4x and 6, that's 2 and the x. 6x squared and 4x, yeah. And between 6x squared and negative 9x, well, I already have the negative here, so I'm not going to pull the negative here. So this will be 3x, okay, and then between these two is 2. Okay, so let's just double check a couple things. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 3x times negative 3 is the negative 9x. So this looks like it's working. All these little baby multiplications should work. So what we should have is 2x minus 3 times 3x plus 2. Okay, and we're just going to confirm that. I know the 2x times 3x will be 6x squared. That's why I picked those. Negative 3 times negative 2 is the negative 6. Again, the big concern is the outer and the inner. So I have 4x and I have negative 9x. When I combine those, that's negative 5x. That does in fact match. Okay, so this is the factorization. Okay, so again, the big difference is it's a times c instead of just c. It's things that multiply to get this times this and add up to this. So that changes how we think about things a little bit. Okay, all right, so that was Sanford Flip Math. Again, this is the a not equal to 1 installment of factoring. I'm calling it part C. You can call it whatever you want. It was lovely hanging out with you. Bye-bye.